Hello everyone, it's Diyar from Back of the Nest with a reaction video to the Norwich game. I'm joined by Hambo here, as you can see him. 1-1 draw, away from home, at Carrow Road. Let's quickly talk about the first half. I thought, exactly, Hambo's face sums up right there. I thought the first half was a bit slow, and no surprises there because it's been like that for a very long time under Roy Hodgson. It seems like in the first half that we just don't want to go and attack and score goals and would be happy going into the second half 0-0. And we saw much of that, I think, in the first half, where we just gave Norwich too much respect on the ball. And I understand we were playing away from home, but this side has only picked up 14 points, including today's results. So they're not a very good side. And I don't know what you think, Hambo, but I just didn't like our approach going into especially in the first half.
No, it wasn't unexpected. I mean, I think, and we were talking about this on the way up, I think, you know, it's been all season that the first half tends to be worse than the second. And I think pretty obvious to everybody with the injuries that we have, with Roy being concerned about having to play the same players, you know, week in, week out, with these games coming thick and fast, he's chosen to try and conserve energy in that first half by trying to just reduce the workload on the players, so don't have them harrowing, you know, put the possession unless it's in our own half, dropping back a bit deeper, keeping the gaps tight. So I understand it, you know, again, even playing youth football, I've played in teams that have done that, but unfortunately it doesn't really give people any sort of confidence or belief in a team when you do that and it doesn't work and you concede a goal. It's bad enough when it's 0-0, but when you concede a goal, and as you say, the trouble is the second that happened, you're immediately looking at a team that's got all 11 men in their own third against the bottom of the league team, and you say, look, okay, I get it, we got injuries, you know, we've got tired players, but you cannot be giving that amount of respect to the bottom team in the league. Yes, they do play good football, they play well, they're a better team than perhaps their points total shows, but they are not Barcelona. You do not let them have the freedom of the pitch, and that was really hard to take first half. But having said that, we did all feel that there would be a second half game plan that would be very, very different, and it did plan out that way.
Yeah, it did plan out that way. But before we talk about the second half, of course, there was a substitution in the first at half time. Mamadou Sakho coming off for Cheiko Kouyaté. It seems like it was an injury. I'm not too sure what exactly went on, because Sakho, he had no problems during the game, so I'm not too sure if he picked up a knock towards the end of the first half. But that's not really good to see, especially considering the injury crisis that we already have.
No, we're very lucky to have Kouyaté, who can get back into the you know, centre back positions and play very, very well, as he has done when we've asked him to. But no, it was a weird one with Sakho. You know, as soon as we saw Kouyaté warming up at half time, I just thought, well, we'll take Max Meyer off and play a 4-4-2 with central midfielders out wide. I just thought that was going to happen. So I was very surprised to see Sakho go off. It wasn't anything we noticed at the game, and maybe people watching at home or whatever on their entirely legal streams would have seen something a bit different. I'm not sure. But, you know, again, it shows a bit of versatility in the squad, but it's terrible to keep getting injuries in the same areas. Yeah,
and let's now talk about the second half. What I predicted before the game, it happened in the second half. Max Meyer, he did go into central areas as soon as the second half started, whereas in the first half, he was just stuck in wide areas. Why is Roy so persistent on keeping things as it is? Because when it was, I know he got subbed off, but in the second half he was more involved when he went into central areas rather than staying out wide. So it does work. So why doesn't he do that in the first half?
I think it goes back to the point that, you know, Roy is someone who, you know, and the staff working under him, you know, their sort of idea is that the system takes priority, so the game plan takes priority. So, you know, Max is a player who will have to, in the current circumstances, is only playing because of injuries to Townsend and Jeffrey Schlupp. Let's face that's a fact. You know, and he has to accept the fact that he is being used out of position in that first half. But it is also, as you say, a clear game plan, a clear change of system, a clear change of position to get him involved more centrally. You know, he did that for a little while against Southampton, and I think that worked relatively well. And he did that against West Ham, you know, second half coming in central, gets more involved in the gameplay. But again, you know, obviously we're coming to a point where things did improve, and we were playing better. But unfortunately, in taking him off and putting Connor Wickham on, which I think getting a striker on was a good choice, but in my view, we had 3 central midfielders playing terribly. All 3 were very poor, in my opinion. I think MacArthur was probably the best of the 3, but all 3 were struggling, in my view.
Yeah, I really don't understand that substitution as well. I mean, McCarthy, yes, he did give 100% effort, but sometimes you need more than effort. It's more about footballing ability, and it seemed like throughout the game he was struggling. And the fact that we took off Max Meyer whilst we were 1-0 down as well to bring on Connor Wickham, all right, fair enough, you're still bringing another attacking player. I just don't think it was the right substitution, because we have, as we talked about, Luka Milivojevic, once again, I don't think he had a particularly good game, and the midfield wasn't that great in total, so you might want to change up there. But Roy decided to go with Max once again, and it was kind of disappointing. But another positive was a youngster coming on. I mean,
Brandon Pierrick.
Yeah, we talked about it before the game. We didn't really see it happening, but I guess normally it would have been Kouyaté coming on from Max, and if that happened, I doubt Pierrick would have came on later on in the game. But that was a positive to see, and I thought he had a decent spell. He was out there, he was running about, and he's putting himself forward.
Absolutely key in the goal as well. Well, I think the first point, just to agree with you, you're absolutely right. That change probably doesn't happen were it not for the injury to Sacco, when you actually look at how the subs usually come about. So in a sense, Roy's hand is forced, but on the other side of things, he's putting these youngsters on the bench. And as much as I criticise him for not using the bench enough and not giving people enough experience, he's bitten the bullet and done it this week. And it's achieved exactly what people have been saying it might achieve. There's no guarantees with a young player coming off the bench. There's no guarantees with any sub that it's actually going to improve things. But there's zero doubt in my mind that taking Mayer off did actually drop the level of our performance, and we only adjusted when Pierrick came on, and he just played without fear. It's great when you get young players on the pitch, because if you give them 10 minutes, particularly sort of attacking players, and just say, look, go out there, enjoy yourself, they get to play with a freedom that the rest of the team don't get to play with, because they're drilled in what Roy and the staff want them to do. They have a very specific role, they know it really well. When you chuck in a youngster who doesn't have that baggage, if you like, and I call it baggage, it's actually necessary to get the number of points that we've currently got, and to be performing as well in the league as we currently have. So it's a thing worth having, but at the same time, having that little bit of extra, that little bit of an unknown element, and that just directness and willingness to attack. And of course, it was him who moved from the right hand side into the centre to collect a pass, and then played a beautiful ball over to Zaha, who was in space, and he didn't have to look up. He just knew Wilf was there, which shows good instincts. And yeah, great ball across by Wilf, and a great finish by Connor.
Yeah, I mean, the VAR, we talk about VAR, we've been against VAR, we've been for it at times, but the celebrations in the away end, if you was watching at home, it was just absolutely fantastic. We initially, Chris, I know you thought that it was offside.
Yeah, straight away. I didn't even celebrate when it went in. I was just like, that's way offside, miles offside.
But the fact that the referee started waiting, and then we were all anticipating him to rule it as a goal, and it was, I mean, the celebrations were fantastic. But overall, I feel like, yes, we picked up a point away from home. We could have done a bit better, especially in the first half. As I said, the substitutions, some of them was a bit questionable, especially with some players still remaining on the pitch. But we'll take a point away from home, so that's a positive. We're still unbeaten this decade, so yeah, Roy Hodgson's a genius. But anyways, if you like this video, please like and subscribe, and until next time, up the Palace.